So this year is going to be coming to a close in a couple of weeks, and a lot of people have their own personal opinions on what the best video game of 2024 has been. You could throw names like Astrobot, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, um, Metaphor and Fantasio, Tekken 8, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Persona 3 Reload. You could throw all those games into the list of titles that deserve to be named best video game of the year. And honestly, I feel like as far as best RPG of 2024 is concerned, I feel like Metaphor and Fantasio is definitely up there because a lot of people have nothing but good things to say about this. I mean, you just take a look at the game, you look at the graphics, you look at the gameplay, you look at the music score, you look at the influences it takes from the Persona series along with the Shin Megami Tensei series. It's something that everybody would die for in an RPG. And this is a game that was I believe it was published by Atlas. So I feel like at this point Atlas might end up taking Square Enix spot as the top, RPG, developer. And a lot of people have nothing but good things to say about it. They say that it provokes a lot of emotions like with the story, has themes of both oppression and anxiety, coupled with hope. And it's also a game that you can get a ton of hours of gameplay out of. And I think you can get like at least 90 hours like gameplay out of it, depending on what difficulty you put it on. And honestly, it feels like a video game that has like life and passion that was added to it that kind of just made it stand out because a lot of video games nowadays they're just like soulless garbage that no one really cares much about. It's something that's just shoved down your throat, and it's quickly forgotten about after it just came out. And Lord knows we've seen like a dozen of these type of games ever since the start of the 2020s decade. And you see games like Metaphor, Ren Fantasio, and you see that there's hope for the gaming industry in terms of I guess in terms of getting excitement and pleasure out of playing certain types of video games. And as far as sales are concerned, I believe this game has done at least a mil since its release. And honestly, that's not bad considering the fact that it just came out like shortly, like I guess more than like a month ago it came out. And um and honestly, I feel like this is a game that can give Final Fantasy VII Rebirth a run for its money, which is also a game, by the way, that is struggling in relation to sales. And that's something that's kind of concerning because between Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Final Fantasy 16, which came out last year, it seems like Square Enix's games are not selling as much as they used to, and it seems like the Final Fantasy series in general is not much of an attraction as it used to be. And a lot of people go on record and tell you that the Final Fantasy series peaked in popularity between the late 90s and the early 2000s. And pretty much, I feel like Square Enix has been living off the Final Fantasy series name value. Since that time, to a point where they're still trying to do everything they can to milk Final Fantasy VII for all that it's worth to this very day. But with this game, Metaphor and Fantasio, you have something fresh and exciting and invigorating and something that people can easily sink their teeth into. And I believe like this game got a meta score of 94 and it got like a user score of 8.8. So it's definitely a must play. It's definitely a game that a lot of people would be like very interested in. And I do feel like the difficulty curve is a bit high if you're a beginner and you're not a hardcore fan of RPGs. But that's something that would add to like the overall interest and the replay value of the game itself. And I honestly feel like this is a game that will definitely stand out in relation to 2024. It's a game that'll stand the test of time 10 years from now. And And honestly, I feel like Atlas might possibly have a hard time trying to top this game with Persona 6 because this is the type of quality that we want to see in Persona 6. And honestly, they've been teasing Persona 6 for quite some time. And I feel like I don't know, I feel like it's been a very long time since we got Persona 5. And and the truth is, it has been a long time because I believe Persona 5 came out back in 2016. So it's been almost a decade since the original Persona 5 game came out. And a lot of people are expecting some type of announcement for Persona 6 next year. And and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Persona 6 got released in 2026 because I feel like that only feels right considering the fact that Persona 5 came out, back in 2016 and whatever. But as far as this particular year is concerned, in terms of what the best RPG is, I do feel that Metaphor and Fantasio definitely deserves to have that title. I know for a fact that it's been nominated by multiple gaming publications for the best RPG of 2024. I have no idea what's going to end up being the best RPG of 2024 in many people's eyes, but I don't know. You look at like this year, and you look at the role playing games that came out. Aside from this game and Final Fantasy Rebirth, we got Dragon Dogma 2, we got Persona 3 Reload, we got Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, we got Black Myth Wukong, we got games like that, and I do feel that 2024 has been somewhat of a competitive year in relation to RPGs. I don't see that necessarily being the case in relation to 2025 unless we have some surprises coming up or anything like that. But but yeah, I mean, I feel like this game is something that people definitely must get their hands on, especially like before next year, because I believe the price of everything's supposed to go up next year because of the economy and economic policies that's going to make everything more expensive than they need to be. But but yeah, it's a good thing that we got this masterpiece, this year because it's very rare that Atlas puts out like really really good games. But it seems like for the past like couple of years or so, they've been on a roll in relation to video games, and I'm not exactly sure whether or not this game is going to, top like 3 mil in terms of sales because it seems like just about every video game nowadays can't, pass 3 mil or 4 mil or what have you. I don't see this game selling more than Persona 5. I don't see this game selling more than Persona 6 once it comes out. But I do see this game being labeled as a classic about a decade from now.